Hello everybody, this is Dan, aka Containment WF, aka Page Wizard, aka Blah. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So I'm here to talk about various different things today in the Mega Man fandom kind of news. As you can see on the screen over there, you can see some interesting stuff there. In fact, this was on Facebook on Monday. As far as I know, we've had the very first instance where a Mega Man fan game was trending on Facebook, and it was for the fan game Mega Man DOS remake. Now I'm gonna get to the game itself in a moment, like my opinions on it and whatnot, because I gave it a shot. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and somebody would be like, "Well, why is a fan game trending on Facebook?" I'm gonna tell you straight up, this is not the next Mega Man Unlimited or Rock Force or Mega Man Eternal or Super Fighting Robot, whatever. This is not that game. So the main reason why it was trending is because of one of these articles, one similar to this, and there's I think one or two other ones, and they're basically all doing this. But I thought I would go through this article a little bit and give you an idea what kind of information we're getting from this. And I'm going to go through it. As I go through it, I'm going to be correcting it because it actually has quite a few number of points of misinformation in it. So Tony, if you're watching this, I suggest correcting your article. So if you were disappointed by Mighty Number 9, there's another game that will ease your pain. A group of dedicated fans are developing a complete remake of the Mega Man DOS games. If you didn't even know there were Mega Man games released on the PC, don't feel bad. I didn't know they existed either. Well, the games didn't look visually terrible. I don't know about that. They were still very far off from being genuine Mega Man experiences. Some have even dubbed them as the worst games in the franchise history. So despite the notoriety of these DOS games, a group of fans has decided that they deserve a second chance. As such, the team has worked hard for the last 2 years to remake both games into one project. This new game, simply titled Mega Man DOS, is more in line with classic NES-era Mega Man games that we all know and love. It certainly puts Mighty Number 9 to shame. Now we get to the point why it was trending on Facebook. It wasn't because this game is like brand spanking new fan game. It's because the articles in question were slamming Mighty Number 9 and using this fan game as a weapon. Now, I'll get into a moment about my thoughts on this game because I gave it a shot. But there's a couple things actually wrong that I went past here. For example, this game has not been, it didn't just come out now. It's been out for a while. At least a year. It's just been reworked significantly back as in, I think it was February, if I remember correctly, that it was brought out again. And the developers have been doing some tweaks to make it a little bit more accommodating as people have been playing the game. Now, that's not in this article. That should be addressed, that, hey, look, this game came out, and because of fans' feedback, they made it even better. It's not that it just came out. It came out months ago. In fact, its earliest versions came out last year, at least. So, this is dishonest. That brings me to one other point I want to address before we proceed, is I want to talk a little bit about my poll that I put out in my latest video. In my latest video, I put out a poll describing how I need your guys' input. I'm going to put the poll in the description. Actually, no, I'll put the video in the description, where I was asking if people could help me decide whether the cameo of Beck in Mega Man Eternal 2, if he should die or not in the intro stage. Now, I haven't put out much details about how that's going to happen or the situation and all that stuff. That's up to me to decide based on the feedback. I need your guys' feedback because I have no opinion one way or the other. I need to get my feet wet with your opinions, if you get what I mean. Because I want to make sure if this is a fan contributed thing, like this contest, if you go to the video, you'll find more information about this. I want fan contributed opinions for fan contributed stuff. So if something was contributed by a fan, I want fans that have an opinion on it. But when it's obviously my stuff, like, I don't need your opinion. But I just like to have a little bit about that, you know? But anyways, back to this. So here's the thing: when people are pointing at me and virtue signaling to me, it's like, "Oh, you're making yourself look like you're on jumping on the hate bandwagon." I'm like, no, I'm not. I have no opinion. Did you not read what I wrote or what I said in the video? I have no stakes in this. So if you say, "Oh, well, you're alright on the hand," that means you're an idiot. You just didn't listen or read. And I don't mind if idiots have opinions. I'm not going to scold silencing them. They're entitled to their opinion, but I don't think they're right. In fact, they aren't right. So let's get back on track here. So we're like, because I didn't hear the same people virtue signaling to me about this, talking about how this game was being used as a weapon against Mighty Number 9. So jumping on the hate bandwagon, like this article is. So if you guys had a problem with my poll, or the people are voting yes, why aren't you guys talking about this? Like, I mean, you would have a stake in this. Why aren't you guys talking about it? Just food for thought. So, the Mega Man DOS remake features 9 Robot Masters, each with their own unique stage. The levels change depending on which bosses were defeated. A feature straight from the Mega Man X series. There's a redesigned fortress with all new hazards and challenges, and even a level editor for those who want to try and make their own custom stages. The level editor comes in with a built-in time attack, challenge mode, and even a custom AI planner. So here's some pictures of the game. Okay. So on that note, it basically plugs the Steam Workshop page with this, and so here's the part where they're like, "Sorry, Mighty Number 9, but you've been upstaged by an unofficial fan remake." I personally don't think so. So let's get into talking about this, and I'm gonna get to a couple of these points. Before we talk about the game itself, I want to talk about this Steam page. So the article references this, and this is on Steam. You can go on Steam and you can download the game. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out the game. Like I said, I don't want to be biased or anything. I don't have a bias in this. I'm only interested in the facts here. So anyways, on this page here, you're going to find a variety of pieces of information. You can download it, but you're going to notice something. If we were to go through this, so note that this game is basically a combination of the 2 Mega Man DOS games. So it does is it takes a lot of assets from the originals. I'll get into that in a second. And it puts together kind of a fun adventure for a fan game. But couple things I want to point out about this page. There's not one place on this entire Steam page that credits Mega Man for doesn't credit Capcom at once in this whole page. Not once. Like, if Mega Man is owned by Capcom, it better be somewhere on this page. Because people are going to come and download it, and they think, "Oh, well, this is a cool game. I'll check this out." Now, some people will be like, "Oh, well, what matters here? It's just a formality, right?" Like, well, actually, no, it's about being intellectually honest. If you take something from somebody, and you use it, you got to credit it. So they know it's kind of a fan game here, but these are remakes. Let's see if there's any note of a fan game here. Not even on the description of this page, except for in the comments. That should be acknowledged. Now, there's actually one thing that rubbed me the wrong way about this page. And I'm going to come back to that credits part in a bit, in another subject. But there's something that rubbed me the wrong way for this being on the Steam Workshop. Now, I'm no lawyer, so take my opinion with a little bit of grain of salt, but I did look through the Steam agreement. And I was looking at this, because I always thought fan games shouldn't be on Steam, because that's more of a venue for indie games, or official games that are made by professional developers. Not fan games, because these are not things that we own. We do not own Mega Man. Capcom owns Mega Man. So what I did was, out of curiosity, I went through the Steam legal agreement, and I came across a couple of places where having a fan game on Steam would actually be violating their terms, at least This is how it reads to me. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so take that as a grain of salt. But I'm reading it literally, which is something that you have to take into consideration when you read a legal document. You have to take it literally, and you have to look at the definitions. So I went through the definitions. It's pretty straightforward. But in section D here, you get something really interesting. So it says, now this is under user-generated content. Now user-generated content, just for those that haven't read this document, or maybe you have Steam and you've agreed to this, but don't really know everything in it. This is in the user-generated section. In the user-generated section, it talks about intellectual property, say copyrights, and say, for instance, the Steam Workshop, like what you could put on the Steam Workshop. So in section D here, it talks about representations and warranties. So you represent and warrant us that you have sufficient rights in all user-generated content. That's things you put on like the Workshop. This could be stuff you put on Steam. That you have sufficient rights in all user-generated content to grant Valve and other affected parties the license described under A and B above, and any license terms specific to the applicable Workshop-enabled app or Workshop page. This includes, without limitations, any kind of intellectual property rights or other proprietary or personal rights affected by or included in the user-generated content. In particular, with respect to the Workshop contributions, you represent and warrant that the Workshop contribution was originally created by you, or with respect to the Workshop contribution to which others contributed besides you, by you, and the other contributors, and in which such case that you have the right to submit such Workshop contribution on behalf of those other contributors. So you further represent and warrant that the user-generated content, your submission of that content, and your granting of rights of that content does not violate any applicable contract law or regulation. So what is A and B, if you're curious? A is general provision, so this is like your general purpose stuff. And B is your content uploaded to the Steam Workshop. So that includes your game. So you don't own Mega Man, so why is this on here? That's basically it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the person that developed this game, so I don't know if they've looked into this at all. But I personally would be very hesitant to post a fan game like this. And I know there are fan games on the Steam Workshop, but you gotta be careful and read these things carefully. It rubbed me the wrong way that I saw that game on the Steam Workshop, because I know that you should own everything that you post there, or at least you should have the right to do so. So that being said, if you guys read this and you spot anything and it's inconsistent with what I'm suggesting here, do let me know, because it always helps me out, because I'm always interested in what's true. So that being said, that's one thing that rubbed me the wrong way with this. Why is it on the Steam Workshop? I don't know. I think that they should just try to find a download link somewhere, make a website. You make a basic website, you set out your terms, you make something that gives you a better tutorial, something a bit more that belongs to you, and give the appropriate citations. On the note of citations, so actually no, before I do that, I'm going to talk about this game. I'm going to talk about Mega Man, the DOS remake here. So this game, now this is just my opinion on it, and I played it for about a couple hours. I played it with Mega Man D and Jasper Valentine on Skype while I was playing it, and they're hearing my opinions on this. So the first thing I want to point out is the interface is not very intuitive. The very first time I booted up this game, I noticed it was in the one-time screen size. I swear, I tried every single key to change the size of the window. I looked in the options. I didn't see anything that allowed me to change the size of the window. But that feature does exist. It's because you have to click on the side of the window to resize it. So the question is, why does not include that in its options if it's a feature that exists for the game? Like, something should be in its instructions, like say on this page. That page. So that rubbed me the wrong way. When you press enter when the intro's playing, the intro music continues to play. It doesn't go right to the title screen, so it's a little sloppy. Aside from that, let's go back to this article. I wanted to point out a couple of things. In particular, it talks about unique stages, their own unique stage. I don't think the levels were particularly unique, to be honest with you. When I played the game, I beat 4 of the Robot Masters out of the original 8. I know there's more, and I've watched the gameplay footage for the rest of the game from other players. But I don't want to have any opinion on that stuff. I want to talk about what I experienced. So when I played it, I just saw gimmicks being recycled left and right. So, for example, like Oil Man's level. I think it was Oil Man. He has treadmills in his level. He's got multiple gimmicks that exist in other stages. I'm trying to think of a couple of good examples off the top of my head, but seriously, it happens too often. Like, that's really it. It happens all the time. And two, when you want a unique feel for your stages, it really does not help when you lift things from the original games and you don't try to make them look original. Like, there was a little bit of an attempt to do so, but when I see a stage and I say, okay, well, that's Dustman's background, that's Heatman's background, and that's Splash Woman's tiles from this level, and like, I literally, when I played this, I was able to pick out all the tile sets that you use in the game, including some that I think were fan-made ones, but I wasn't able to double-check your sources because your credits didn't provide any information on that. So, that being said, it didn't feel very unique. The Robot Master boss fights, those were okay. A couple of them were kind of sloppy. Boltman is a good example of this. But some were pretty cool, like the Bitman fight was kind of neat. Had several segments. A couple just didn't really capitalize on things like Blade Man. Blade Man had this crusher in the middle, and I found I killed him really quickly because, like, I just stayed on the left side and I just kept spamming him until he died. It didn't feel like a real challenge. But the game itself, okay, I'm all about trying to push the bar when it comes to originality. When it's okay, say here I have this stage, and I want to design a whole new thing. I want to say, hey, look, this is this man's level. I want the level to distinguish and say, hey, look, this is this guy's level. It's distinct. I didn't get any of that feeling, with the exception of maybe Sharkman from this game's levels from what I played. I played all 8 Robot Master levels. I just didn't beat 4 of them. The game really rubbed me the wrong way, in short. So, for example, just the sheer lack of unoriginality. Like, there's just no originality with this game. The only thing it has going for it, now, I'll give you a list of things that I think are good. I do like, and in the article it does state this, is that it takes the level changes based on how you defeat the bosses, which I think that's a good idea to use. In fact, I was thinking of originally doing that for Mega Man Eternal 2, but I may or may not. We'll see. It depends, because Game Boy kind of limits me quite a bit. But the main point is that's okay. I like that. 2, the boss fights were okay. I know I said wasn't gonna give my opinions on later stuff, but the final boss is it's a mixed bag. The first part is kind of like a rip-off of my boss, like the Wily Machine Eternal, except done really poorly. And the second phase is okay. I like that. That was a little bit more unique with the pod fight. I know, spoilers. Yeah, I can't really give much opinion on the plot. I didn't really get to anywhere where there's actually a plot. The third thing that I really liked was the level editor. I didn't play with it myself, but I know I had a few people tell me that they really like it and think it's really nice. In fact, some people said that feature is actually what makes this game even better than the actual game itself. So, that being said, should you play? Yes, you should give it a try. But don't go into this based on the trending stuff. What you should do is play it like it's a fan game, and that's fine. But There's a big but here. Don't. I would probably rate this as average at best if you were to play just the main game. Lack of originality. Not very definitive to the originals. Like not too loyal. There are a couple places where it pays nods really well, but when I think of Mega Man DOS remake, I think like, oh, you're gonna take the levels bit by bit. Literally, you're gonna take those levels and you're gonna turn them into what they are in the original. Maybe refine them a bit. But I think that was tried, that was attempted, but the creators can comment and let me know what they thought about that. But I'm just being critical here as somebody that has made fan games in the past here, and in fact has made a rather decent fan game that people really like, although it's balls hard, but you get my point. Like, I'm telling you, you gotta, like, if you're gonna take something like this, that's like a very niche thing, like, it's a very good attempt, but I just think that it needed to be more original. That's really it. I have a real disdain for people that just lift music from the official games and lift sprites from the original games or tiles and not try to do anything original with it. You should try to do that. But yeah, overall, I think it's average at best, and I think you should give it a shot if you have time. But don't go into this expecting like your Magmighty Turtle or Unlimited or Rock Force or any of these kind of like big top 10 fan games. It's all right, but the fact that this isn't like one of those games, it rubbed me the wrong way that this was the first, as far as I know, first fan game trending on Facebook, and it's not even for the fact of its game, it's the fact that it's slamming another game, which is stupid. Now I want to close off this video with one other discussion that's going to be rather important. I want to discuss about credits and citing things, because the last while I've been noticing that fan game makers have been being very lazy when it comes to referencing stuff. You gotta reference everything you use. Like you gotta say, okay, like in my sprites section of my credits, I tell you this person did a sprite, this person did a sprite. You don't have to tell me which ones. You just gotta list them. List who did, like who helped. Like, it's a good idea to be complete with these things. So, on the subject of Mega Man DOS, the reason why I wanted to talk about this game with respect to this is because its credits are absolutely abhorrent. Like, it's lazy. Like, what I would consider scholarly inaccurate. For example, there has been a trend I've noticed. I've streamed 2 games on this channel, and I've played this one, and they've focused far more on where they get resources as opposed to who made them. And I think that's really not a good thing for people to be doing. It's a good idea to have this, but you should be citing who made what. You shouldn't need to cite specifically who did this enemy or who did that. It should be that you reference who helped make things. Like, if I were to go and make my game and I said, oh, I made a sprite, like here's my sprite category, my credits. And if I miss somebody, that's not a good thing. You should be citing everybody that's a part of contributing to your game. Even if they had no part in your project, they should be referenced and given credits. So, for example, I'll actually bring this up. It's in the most ironic of senses. There have been the 2 games I streamed most recently, the Make a Good fan game, Make a Good Mega Man level game. That one had very sloppy credits. It didn't, like it said, and many others. Like, no, you gotta list them all. That's what a credits is for. Like, I can't just write a science paper and just say, oh, some guys over here did it. That's lazy. You gotta cite them all. People want to know, hey, look, did this person do this? Did this person? You have to acknowledge this. It's very important. And it's far more important than telling you where you got things from. You should be able to tell me who made it. Now, it doesn't have to be, so for example, if it's Capcom, you can just say Capcom. But when I see credits, I'll give you another example. And it's particular when it comes to official stuff. The other day, I streamed Mega Man Endless here. I streamed this game. Now, Mega Man Endless Mega Man Endless has its credits right on the front here. But I want to show you something. See if you can find anywhere in this credits where it says Capcom. Anywhere. Have you seen it yet? I haven't seen it yet. So the accuracy is more important than graphical resources. I wonder who made those things. Oh, special thanks. Oh, not even the Capcom. Thank you for playing. So that's not how you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to say, hey, look, this sprite was made by this. Like, you can always say the names of the major people that helped and tell what they did, like this. But you should, instead of just saying, oh, graphical resources, no, you should say, hey, look, this was from Capcom, this was made by this person, this was made by that person, this was made by that person. You should have a complete credits. And I'm sorry, it matters more than the engine accuracy. This stuff, that's what a credits is mostly for, is citing who made what. Advice is also helpful, so not to slam that guy, but I'm just saying that saying where you got things from is more important than acknowledging somebody's opinion. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. So this is from Blyka, of all people. So, Blyka, if you're watching this, you should update this credits if you can. Because you should acknowledge this. I know at the beginning of your game, it says, oh, Mega Man copyright this. No, it has to be here too. In your music section, it would be a good idea to cite the composers of songs if you use official tracks. Even if you remake a song, you should credit the composer of that song if you've remade their song. It's really important. It's a good practice in being honest and sound with how you refer to things. It's very important. You may say, oh, well, who's going to look at the credits? Well, the thing is, when somebody looks at your game and, like, maybe one day, some guy from Capcom plays your game. And they're like, hey, look, I made that sprite. Why didn't you guys cite it? Like, you didn't even cite Capcom. Like, I worked for them or something. Like, it's kind of a dick move, isn't it? But yeah, that's basically my advice on that. That's sort of a sidetrack. But I wanted to end on that because Mega Man DOS is probably one of the worst examples of this. And this is why I wanted to talk about it. For example, it does not talk at all about who made the sprites. It talks about where it got it from. And two, it uses official music. It should be citing the composers that made those songs, or it should be citing Capcom. Or Inti Creates, with whomever was working on that game. It should be there, clear as day. It shouldn't be who uploaded the song onto YouTube. That's not cool. You're supposed to cite who made these things. You can also cite where you got them, which is great, but that's not enough. You gotta cite everything. So that's sort of my my little ramble about references. So that's for my fan game creators out there. Credit your stuff. Very important. So that being said, thank you for watching and have yourself a beautiful day.